Hello, section 17, my favorite section. um, Tonight, I'm going to be going through your submissions and giving you some critiques. Hopefully, they will help you be able to take your draft to the next level so your designs look super duper professional. Okay, first thing I want to point out is I just made this video. This video I want everyone to watch before you watch the video you are currently watching, because this video right here includes tips that apply to probably 90% of the designs that I'm seeing. They include some design trend no-nos that I'm catching in your spreads and the solutions for them. And then they're also going to include a few points that I hope you'll be able to take when it comes to how these will be graded. So this should prove helpful for you. It's about 9 minutes. And then after you've watched this, go ahead and jump on and watch the current video, and you will be able to jump to your individual critique if you've opted in for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and go to the very first person who posted, which, let's see, that is Annika. So I'm going to go down in the order that you posted. Next we have Jada. So wherever you posted, you can hopefully try to jump to that point on this video. I'm going to provide you with a short critique, and then if you want, you can repost your design under your current one for your fellow classmates to check out and to give you additional tips. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with you, Annika. Let's see. Okay, this is nice since you have all 3 pages. Okay, so one thing that I mentioned in the video, which probably you've already noted if you watch that, is I want there not to be so much space, so much writing that there's no white space. And there is just so much writing in this 3-page spread. It's way too much for your eye to be able to rest at any point. So I would love to see you knock these columns out so you don't have so many of them, so you can have bigger images, and so you can have room for your eye to flow off the page. It also looks like you're way too close to the edges here, and that's going to give you a little bit more room to pull away from the center margin and also from the edges of the page. I like that you have this blue color kind of scheme going on here. It might be a monochromatic color scheme, but I think it would be fun if you could introduce another color perhaps, since right now everything is blue. Think about adding a color. Maybe if you're doing this blue, you want to add a cool orange yellow, or you do a split complementary where you have orange and yellow, or green and orange, something like that, so you have some added visual interest to your post. Okay. Another thing is you still need to do another image. Oh no, you don't. You have 2 images, but I don't think, my guess would be that you didn't take these yourself. And so make sure they're images that you have taken, okay? Quote in a large circle. It had text being shaped around it. I wonder if somebody answered your question there. Okay, I'm assuming then this is where you're gonna put your pull quote. One thing I like that you've done is you have your nice subheadings here. They look like they might be the same font as this, and I would recommend doing something different so they really stand out. Right now you have contrasting typeface here and here, but I would love to see them also in these subheadings. Another thing is your heading right now is kind of safe. It's center aligned within this little box. Instead, I would love to see this box go all the way across the page and have something that's really dramatic size difference. So maybe you have, I would probably say instead of hungry, you might have the emphasis on good things. So maybe you have he hath filled the hungry with, goes all the way across the top, and then you have a super cool, big, eye-catching script font. Maybe, you know, something like this that says with good things or good things to really pull you in. If you want to keep it on hungry, you could, but it's only 1 word. So instead you have the spacing, which looks a little bit awkward. And so I would probably not recommend doing that. I would probably recommend instead playing around with the actual sizing and the contrast of the typefaces. So there's a little bit more contrast going on. I like how you have this big, strong blue pulled quote. Oh no, this is your pulled quote, so you don't need to put one right here. It does look a little bit weird with the lines. I can't make it any bigger, so I can't really tell if these blue lines are included in the image or not. But I might do just one of the blue lines instead of two. And then this looks a little odd. I don't know, I think it just looks a little odd. There are a few elements and I'm trying to figure out what's going on with them. It might be better to have one big slice of bread, and you could take it yourself and just put it here, and then you can do a shape wrap around that. Or if you really like the kind of straight lines that this has, maybe just one piece of bread in a box or something like that. Okay, so play around. I think the thing that's going to help you the most is a much stronger title and more white space, and then really adding some visual pop with your color scheme, because that's something that's missing, and that's really going to help your design look more vibrant and more eye-catching. All right, thanks, Annika. I look forward to seeing your final draft. Okay, Jada, you are next, and you opted in. So let's take a look at yours. First of all, I like that you have kind of matching shapes. You have 3 circles. I'm assuming that you took these images. I hope you did. Okay. This is interesting. It's a little weird that you have a circle, but it's text wrapped with a square shape. So I would go in and I would change this so it's text wrapped to the actual shape itself. Okay, so let's see. See how this has the text wrap that goes right around the edge, and it kind of helps it look a little bit more cohesive instead of having this empty white space that goes around it. You might have done, I'm trying to think if there's a wraparound bounding box. Maybe that's what you did. Make sure it's clicked wrap around object shape. I wonder if there's a setting in here. There might be a setting that's keeping it around that square box. If you have trouble getting it to wrap around the actual circle, email me and we can figure it out together. Okay, but I think that would help this really pop and look a lot better. And then you could do the same thing over here. You wrap it around this line, and that will help make this kind of awkward white space disappear too. Because this isn't totally trapped, it can get out right here, but it's kind of the same effect. And instead, you could do something a little bit more creative. Maybe instead of having 2, oh, I really like your subtitles. I just noticed this one. This one looks really good. This one looks a little bit weird, I think, because it's so close. Make sure there's space between the end of this paragraph and your subtitle, and I think that's going to help. But I really like how you have the line. That looks great. Okay, so maybe one thing you could do is you could make it just have one column on this page, and you start up here and kind of bring it down. So it has a nice strong column, but then it also has some white space. I would move this shape down. You never want your letters touching directly on an object that then the object disappears behind it. So you need to add a little bit of spacing between this line and the end of the letter. So it looks like a line instead of like a weird part of your title. Okay, so I would move this down. And if you could, I would probably make this even a little bit bigger. I guess it depends on whether this is a spread or this is a spread and you're worried about it getting cut off. If you had it stop right there because this is the edge of the page, which I can't tell with without the guides on, then this is a sound choice. But if you can get a little bit closer, if say your guide is right here, I would make this even bigger. So it kind of has the same amount of space between here, the edge of this letter and the edge of this page, and the end of this E and the edge of the page. Okay, so that would make it even more eye attention grabbing. Let's see, what else is something? If you do need to cut any part out to add in white space, that's totally fine. I definitely like how you have the circle with the center aligned, nice, simple sans serif. That looks really good. This image looks like it might have been shrunk a little bit. It might have been pushed in on the sides. Looks a little bit too skinny for a normal daffodil. So I might grab the image by the side and pull it out just a little bit and see if you can make it so this daffodil looks a little bit more like a circle and less like an oval. Okay, but besides that, it's coming together. It's looking good. Play around perhaps with leaving the background white to match this daffodil petal and see if it pops a little bit more to you. If it doesn't, that's fine, but it might make it a little bit more crisp. Okay, so there are a few ideas for you, Jade. I look forward to seeing what you come up with. Okay, Wookie, you opted in. Go ahead and take a look at yours. Okay, reminder, these have to be images that you took yourself. So that might make it a little bit tricky for you. Unless hopefully you have Pokemon Go on your phone, you can walk around and take some images with it. But remember, you can leave this, but you'll need to have at least 2 images that you've taken yourself. So here's your pull quote. I like that you have that. I like that you have these hyphens or the quotation marks. That looks good. And this is cool how you pulled this out and wrapped it around here. Oh, you know what? I think you added a different version. Did you add a new one of these somewhere? I remember seeing one that had a different title. Yep. Okay, we'll look at this one. Okay, so remember alignment. With all of these images, your typeface is aligned, but it would be cool to have your images aligned in some way. I think there's too much going on with the 2 pulled quotes, the 4 images, and this. I think we need to simplify a little bit. So maybe we get rid of this image, and these are going to be images you take, so you're probably going to be getting rid of all of these. But maybe you have this image, you pull it down so it's on the bottom of the page here. You keep it really big. You keep this one really big. And then you have this shape and you put it in the center of these 2 columns and it wraps around it and you get rid of this image. Okay, so there are a few things you can do to make it look even more simple. I think this title does look better than it did before. I might recommend actually keeping Go the same as actually because you have kind of a theme going on. Unless you make it really big and different, I wouldn't make the emphasis word smaller. Okay, so this is your heart of your question is where did it go, but it's actually smaller so it doesn't draw your eye to it as much. Make sure that your typeface, it looks really spread out, and I think that's probably because you did justify, which is fine, but it looks like it's a little bit too big too. So I might make your typeface a little bit smaller. You want to keep your typeface around 10 or 11 or 12. 12 is maximum size for a typeface on an article. So you probably want to make this smaller, and then that's going to free up some room for some white space. What looks so good on this intro page is that you have white space here. So we need to add that in other places, and that can be done by making this typeface smaller. Okay, also getting rid of a few of these images is going to give you a little bit more wiggle room when it comes to allowing your eye to have a place to rest on the page. Okay, I like that you have these down here. This is kind of cool. It adds a feeling of authenticity to it. So just keep on working on it. Integrate some of the design principles from the Non-Designer's Design book. I don't see your subtitles. Make sure you have subtitles. Those will be in the article. You're going to have little headings that say Pokemon disappeared, and maybe you have it in this green, and then you have Pokemon is loved, and maybe you have it in this blue, but you have it in a contrasting font to your main typeface that's throughout this. And that's going to help break it up, and it's going to give your eye somewhere to look and kind of give a little bit more structure to your design. Okay, so hopefully that helped you. And I look forward to seeing your final submission. All right, let's scroll back up to the top here. There's yours.